1.5 million people proud of their heritage in India, proud of their home in Britain. It will be an expression of joy for all that we share. Values, institutions, political system, sports, culture, and art. And it will be recognition of a vibrant partnership and a shared future. The United Kingdom is the third largest investor in India behind Singapore and Mauritius. India is the third largest source of foreign direct investment projects in the United Kingdom. Indians invest more in Britain than in the rest of European Union combined. It is not because they want to save on interpretation costs, but because they find an environment that is welcoming and familiar. It takes an Indian icon, Tata, to run a British icon and become your nation's largest private sector employer. The UK remains a preferred destination for India's students. And I'm pleased that an Indian company is taking 1,000 British students to India to skill them in information technology. We are working together in the most advanced area of science and technology. We are finding solutions to the enduring human problems of food and health security and seeking answers to emerging challenges like climate change. Our security agencies work together so that our children return home safe and our increasingly networked lives are not prey to the threats on cyberspace. Our armed forces exercise with each other so that they can stand more strongly for the values we represent. This year alone, we have had 3 exercises together. And in the international arena, your support has made it more possible for India to take her rightful place in global institutions and regimes. And it has helped us both advance our common interests. Mr. Speaker, strong as our partnership is, for relationship such as ours, we must set higher ambitions. We are 2 democracies, 2 strong economies, and 2 innovative societies. We have the comfort of familiarity and the experience of a long partnership. Britain's resurgence is impressive. Its influence on the future of the global economy remains strong. And, Mr. Speaker, India's new bright spot of hope and opportunity for the world. It is not just the universal judgment of international institutions. It is not just the logic of numbers. A nation of 1.25 billion people with 800 million under the age of 35 years. This optimism comes from the energy and enterprise of our youth, eager for change and confident of achieving it. It is the result of bold and sustained measures to reform our laws, policies, institutions, and processes. We are igniting the engines of our manufacturing sector, making our farms more productive and more resilient, making our services more innovative and efficient, moving with urgency on building global skills for our youth, creating a revolution in startup enterprises, and building the next generation infrastructure that will have a light footprint on the earth. Our momentum comes not just from the growth we pursue, but from the transformation that we seek in the quality of life for every citizen. Much of India that we dream of still lies ahead of us. Housing, power, water and sanitation for all, bank accounts and insurance for every citizen, connected and prosperous villages, and smart and sustainable cities. These are goals with a definite date, not just a mirage of hope. And inspired by Gandhiji, the change has begun with us, the way the government works. There is transparency and accountability in governance. There is boldness and speed in decisions. Federalism is no longer the fault line of center-state relation, but the definition of a new partnership of Team India. Citizens now have the ease of trust, not the burden of proof and processes. Business find an environment that is open and easy to work in. In a nation connected by cell phones, Digital India is transforming the interface between government and people. So, Mr. Speaker, with apologies to poet T.S. Eliot, we will not let the shadow fall between the idea and reality. If you visit India, you will experience the wind of change. It is reflected in the surge of investments from around the world, enhanced stability of our economy. In 190 million new bank accounts of hope and inclusion, in the increase in our growth to nearly 7.5% per year, and in the sharp rise in our ranking on ease of doing business. And the motto of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is our vision of a nation in which every citizen belongs, participates, and prospers. It is not just a call for economic inclusion. It is also a celebration of our diversity, the creed for social harmony, and a commitment to individual liberties and rights. This is the timeless ethos of our culture. This is the basis of our Constitution, and this will be the foundation of our future. Mr. Speaker, members and friends, the progress of India is the destiny of 1/6 humanity, and it will also mean a world more confident of its prosperity and more secure about its future. It is also natural and inevitable that our economic relations will grow by leaps and bounds. We will form unbeatable partnership if we combine our unique strength and the size and the scale of opportunities in India. We will see more investment and trade. We will open new doors in the service sector. We will collaborate more here and in India. In defense equipment and technology, we will work together on renewable and nuclear energy. We will explore the mysteries of science and harness the power of technology and innovation. We will realize the opportunities of the digital world. Our youth will learn more from and with each other. But a relationship as rich as this, with so much promise as ours, cannot be measured only in terms of our mutual prosperity. Mr. Speaker, ours is an age of multiple transition in the world. We are yet to fully comprehend the future unfolding before us. As in the previous ages, it will be different from the world we know. So in the uncharted waters of our uncertain times, we must together help steer a steady course of this world in the direction that mirrors the ideals we share. For in that lies not just the success of our two nations, but also the promise of the world that we desire. We have the strength of our partnership and the membership of the United Nations, the Commonwealth, and the G20. We live in a world where instability in a distant region quickly reaches our doorsteps. We see this in the challenges of radicalization and refugees. The fault lines are shifting from the boundaries of nations into the web of our societies and the streets of our cities. And terrorism and extremism are a global force that are larger than their changing names, groups, territories, and targets. The world must speak in one voice and act in unison to combat this challenge of our times. We must adopt a comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism in the United Nations without delay. There should be no distinction between terrorist groups or discrimination between nations. There should be a resolve to isolate those who harbor terrorists and willingness to stand with nations that will fight them honestly. And we need a social movement against extremism in countries where it is most prevalent, and every effort to de-link religion and terrorism. Oceans remain vital for our prosperity. Now we have to also secure our cyber and outer space. Our interests are aligned across many regions. We have a shared interest in stable, prosperous, and integrated South Asia round, together in a shared march to prosperity. We want an Afghanistan that is shaped by the dreams of the great Afghan people, not by irrational fears and overreaching ambitions of others. A peaceful, stable Indian Ocean region is vital for global commerce and prosperity. And the future of Asia-Pacific region will have profound impact on all of us. We both have huge stakes in West Asia and the Gulf. And in Africa, where amidst many challenges, we see so many promising signs of courage, wisdom, leadership, and enterprise. India has just held an Africa summit in which all 55 countries and 42 leaders participated. We must also cooperate to launch a low-carbon age for a sustainable future for our planet. This is a global responsibility that we must assume in Paris later this month. The world has crafted a beautiful balance of collective action, common but differentiated responsibility, and respective capabilities. Those who have the means and the know-how must help meet the universal aspirations of humanity for clean energy and a healthy environment. And when we speak of restraint, we must not only think of curbing fossil fuels, but also moderating our lifestyles. We must all do our part. For India, a target of 175 gigawatt of additional capacity in renewable energy by 2022 and reduction in emission intensity of 33 to 35% by 2030 are just two of the steps of a comprehensive strategy. I have also proposed to launch during the COP21 meeting an international solar alliance to make solar energy an integral part of our lives, even in the most unconnected villages. In Britain, we are more likely to use an umbrella against rain than the sun. But my team defined the membership of the Solar Alliance in more precise terms. We have to be located within the tropics, and we are pleased that the United Kingdom qualifies. So we look forward to an innovative Britain as a valuable partner in this endeavor. Prime Minister Cameron and I are indeed very pleased that cooperation and affordable and accessible clean energy is an important pillar of our relations. Mr. Speaker, this is a huge moment for our two great nations. So we must seize our opportunities, remove the obstacles to cooperation, instill full confidence in our relations, and remain sensitive to each other's interests. In doing so, we will transform our strategic partnership and we will make this relationship count as one of the leading global partnerships. Ever so often, in the call of Britain's most famous bard, that we must seize the tide in the affairs of man, the world has sought the inspiration to act, and so must we. But in defining the purpose of our partnership, we must turn to a great son of India whose house in London I shall dedicate to the cause of social justice on Saturday. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, whose 125th birth anniversary we are celebrating now, was not just an architect of India's constitution and our parliamentary democracy. He also stood for the upliftment of the weak, the oppressed, and the excluded. And he lifted us all to a higher cause in the service of humanity, to build a future of justice, equality, opportunity, and dignity for all humans, and peace among people. That is the cause to which India and the United Kingdom have dedicated themselves today. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Prime Minister Modi, thank you on behalf of everyone assembled, and particularly on behalf of the House of Lords, for your inspired and inspiring speech. Your presence here today gives Parliament a valuable opportunity to celebrate the unique relationship between the UK and India. And how appropriate to do so here in the Royal Gallery, where 85 years ago today, King George V opened the first London Round Table Conference. and British leaders could come together to discuss constitutional reform in India as a means of moving towards self-rule. And though the achievements of the Roundtable Conference were indeed modest, they did signal, in the words of Ramsay MacDonald, the birth of a new history. By bringing together British and Indian statesmen and rulers of Indian states and seating them at a round table, thereby conferring equal status among all, the conferences took us a step forward towards the relationship we enjoy today as equal partners and friends with not just a shared history, a shared language and a shared culture, but also a shared respect. 85 years on, and your country has developed into one of the most influential and important nations in the world, its progress founded upon values which, again, the UK shares. Earlier this year, I had the great pleasure of visiting New Delhi, Kolkata and Assam. I was deeply impressed with the number and scope of local enterprises which I saw there, from rugby clubs for street children to initiatives for reskilling women, from multicultural classes in primary schools to highly successful microfinance schemes. I was impressed too by the number of women engaged in politics at all levels. While I can't pretend to have a comprehensive view of your vast and complex democracy, I believe that this is what lies at the heart of India's modern urgency and vitality, an entrepreneurial energy and a spirit of inclusivity, which the UK also holds dear. Prime Minister Modi, it's been a great pleasure to host you here in Parliament today. I hope we've been able to provide a taste of the warmth of the welcome we will